Hello, 8th graders. Welcome back to 4.6. This will be our third installment, and we're going to talk about example 3 today. Where have we been so far in this lesson? In example 1, we learned to graph by using just the slope and the y-intercept, and so we did a couple of those. Then I told you and taught you how to write equations in slope-intercept form when we're given certain pieces of information. And then I gave you a bonus lesson on how to identify special lines like horizontal lines and vertical lines. And I apologize for not warning you ahead of time that you would need extra graph paper for that because I kind of just threw that in there suddenly. So let's get to this next page in your notes, example 3. We're going to actually use slope-intercept form to graph. And we're going to write each equation in slope-intercept form if it's not already in slope-intercept form. And then we're going to graph it just like we did in example 1. If you know the intercept and you know the slope, you can graph any line. So let's go ahead and get started with letter A. Is this equation, y equals 4x minus 3, is it already in slope-intercept form? Yes, it is. Now, just for clarification, I'm going to rewrite my subtraction as addition so that you clearly see that the y-intercept is going to cross at -3, not just at +3. So it's real important that you look at the sign right in front of that 3, and the sign of that number is the sign of your y-intercept. So 4x minus 3 indicates a -3 slope. But if you need to see it a little bit more clearly, please rewrite it as addition, add your opposite, and you'll see that the slope, or the y-intercept is -3. And of course we see that the slope, remember the slope is always the number in front of your x, slope is 4, okay? Now what I like to do is I like to write everything down clearly and show my options for my slope. I can write my +4 slope as 4 over 1 or -4 over -1. They both equal +4, okay? And then of course my y-intercept is going to cross at -3. Okay, let's prepare our graph and we're going to draw this. If you need extra graph paper because I didn't give you enough room, please grab some sheets. Just pause me. Grab a couple of sheets and then we'll work on those graph papers separately. If you can fit it all on this graph paper on your notes, that's great. I'm not going to be able to. I just write too big. All right, let's get started. You always start with the one point you know is on your line. And we know for a fact that -3 is our y-intercept. So on the y-axis, find -3. So start at your origin and go down to -3 and mark it, okay? Now, from there, you can use either form of your slope. You can go up 4, right 1, or you could go down 4, left 1. Now, remember, this is a positive slope. Which way should your line lean? When you're all finished, this line should be leaning which way? I hope you said to the right. You would be correct. All right, so pencil tip on your y-intercept, and let's go up 4, right 1, and mark it. Up 4, right 1, mark it. I don't have enough room below my point, so I'm not going to use the down 4, left 1. I just don't have enough room. You may have enough room on your paper. I don't on mine. But this definitely gives us a good idea of how it should go, and there it goes. And is my line leaning to the right as I originally anticipated? Yep, it is. We did a great job, and that is how you graph it. So super job. Now I'm going to pull up my eraser. I need to erase just a little bit, probably all of it. All right, here we go. And I'm going to go down to letter B. Y equals -2/3 x plus 2. Now, I wrote it vertically so we could see the fraction a little bit better. Is this equation written in slope-intercept form? Absolutely right. Here's your slope. Slope is -2 over 3. Or what's another way you could write that? Yeah, you could do 2 over -3. You can just flip that sign down to the denominator. They both mean -2/3, so great job. And then of course our y-intercept is going to cross at +2. See the sign in front of your 2? It's a plus sign. That means it's +2 on the y. All right, so let's draw our coordinate plane. Here we go. Now we have a negative slope. Which way should our line lean? When it's all said and done, when we're done graphing, which way should this line lean? Absolutely correct. If you said it should lean left, you are correct. So we'll see at the end if we did it right, our line should lean left. All right, first thing, mark +2 on the y. There it is. You always start with the point that you know. They give us the y-intercept. That's the one point we know, so graph it. And then remember, when we do this form, -2 over +3, what that means is you're going to go down 2, right 3. So let's do that a couple times. Down 2, right 3. And mark it. Down 2, right 3. And mark it. Oh, that looks great. You can also go up 2, left 3. Now I'm going to crisscross into some of my writing, but that's okay. I just want to show you what it looks like. Go up 2, left 3. And mark it. And see, it still lies on that line. And it's leaning to the left. So we did a great job of marking this. So beautiful. It leans to the left. It's a negative slope. It should lean left. And we used both forms of our slope. Great job. Very, very proud of you. Okay, you don't erase. I need to erase. You just use extra graph paper if you need it. And then we're going to get to letter C. Now, letter C has, well, guess what? What form is letter C in? Because that is not slope-intercept form. For what variable is slope-intercept form solved? If you said y, you're correct. Well, we don't have the y by itself on one side, but we can rearrange this. So let's rearrange it, and I'm going to just create some room. I may have to erase, but that's okay. We've got 3x plus 2y equals 8, and we want to get y by itself. Don't do anything to the 2 or the y just yet. What we want to do first is we want to fully remove 3x from the left and put it on the right. How do I do that? If you said subtract 3x from each side, you are absolutely correct. Okay, so it's totally gone on the left. Now I've got 2y equals -3x plus 8. Now some of you may be wondering why I didn't write 8 minus 3x. I'm trying, for your sake, to keep the mx plus b look. I'm trying to keep the x term first so that it looks like slope-intercept form for you. I could have written 8 minus 3x. I just didn't want to confuse you. All right, last step. We want to get y by itself. So what do? How do I get rid of 2? Divide everything you see by 2. Awesome. There it is. So this is the equation we should end up with. Y equals -3/2 x plus, and of course, what's 8 divided by 2? Yep, if you said 4, you nailed it. Good job. Now, are we in slope-intercept form? Yes, we got it. We got the form we need to graph out of. Okay, now I'm going to get my eraser back, and I want to take some of that off the board so I can free up my graph. And let's go ahead and create a coordinate plane, and we'll get this going. We're getting pretty good at this. I hope your confidence is rising as a result. So what's the one thing we know for a fact is a point on our graph? If you said b equals +4, you're exactly right. That's the y-intercept. So let's graph it. There it is. There's +4 right there. Now our slope is already in fraction form, and we have it written on our board, left part of the board, as -3/2. What's another way we could write it? If you said 3 over -2, you're absolutely correct. That's a negative fraction, and we can flip that negative sign either to the numerator or to the denominator. It all means -3/2, regardless. It's a negative slope, so which way should our line lean? So when we finally draw our line, how should it be leaning? If you said left, You are correct. All right, so get your pencil tip on the y-intercept. I'm going to start here with this one because I want to come down. I don't have a lot of room above my graph, so I want to come down a little bit. -3 over +2 means go down 3, right 2. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, just went down 3 and over 2, right 2, 1, 2, mark it. Let's do that a couple of times. Down 3, right 2, mark it. And it's looking good. I have a line that's leaning to the left. This definitely reflects what my slope says it should be leaning, how it should be leaning. And there's my equation. And there's my slope-intercept form and my drawn line as a result. Now, as an aside, let me kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent right here with that slope-intercept form. I will give you a little bit of freedom. If you're given slope-intercept form, you can choose to turn it into, or if you're given standard form, you can turn it into slope-intercept form and graph out of that. But there's another way that you could easily graph standard form. Do you remember the cover-up method? You could graph the intercepts and do it that way without actually changing it into slope-intercept form. So you know me, I don't want to add more work. If you're given this type of situation in letter C where they gave you standard form, you have my permission. You don't need to rearrange that in a slope-intercept form. It's good to practice. You may be asked to do that on the state test, so it's good to practice the rearranging. But if we're graphing it, you can just graph it using the intercepts. I'm happy with that too. So if you have any questions for me, bring them to class tomorrow and we will go over that a little bit further.